what's up, y'all? This is Aaron Gordon here. We're back here with the Aaron Gordon podcast. I'm here with my special guest, TeeKlef. How's everything going?
Everything is special, man. Everything is great, dog.
So this is a special artist right here. Talk about your journey, being from Nigeria. Talk about that experience just growing up there.
Yeah, so music wasn't always in the plans, This is just something I stumbled across. I mean, I've always been able to sing. I learned how to play the piano and the keys, in church, but music was never the goal. It was something to get me to the goal, right?
Yeah.
And so when I couldn't pay tuition, I was going to be a doctor. I couldn't pay tuition. I was like, man, you can sing, you can play the keys. How about you make something together? You send it to the labels, they sign you to a 3-album deal, give you this fat advance, and then you pay tuition and everybody's good. So it was while making the music that I was like, man, this is what I'm really supposed to be doing, and that's how that happened.
So how did you learn that you had rhythm? Did you just happen to just stumble across it? You just one day, or what happened?
It's a melanin thing, No, but nah, man. I mean, like I told you, man. It's like in church, I felt like I put in, if we're doing 10,000 hours, then I probably put in at least 4 to 5 of those 1,000 hours in church, and that's where those are my stomping grounds, where I could actually learn and fail and learn and kind of get through the ropes,
So what was it like for you, growing up in church? Obviously I did too, for most of the people. What was that like for you? Just being, I wouldn't say necessarily forced, but, being brought into the spiritual light at a younger age.
I think it helped me not do a lot of other stuff that I think I would have done, just that fear, right? It was a fear until I gained my own consciousness. I was able to think for myself, right? It was a fear of not going to hell, right? I mean, it's like, bro, if you do this stuff, bro, you gonna burn, G. So, for me, it's like, I do not want to burn. So let's just leave it where it's at, So I think those are the foundation. So a lot of other things that other people did, like in high school and all that, I couldn't partake. For one, I mean, I had a reputation to protect, my family's name and all that good stuff. But more importantly, just because of the fact that, I mean, this wasn't how I was raised. And, it wasn't up until I was older and, I could see things differently. Like my perspective had changed and, I could understand why. I don't fault my parents for any of that. I turned out, to be who I am.
So, with that, growing up, do you think that has played a part into, what you have done now in terms of, just being able to go out and, explore your artistic talents?
I would say yes or no, because, at first, my mom wasn't for it. I mean, she knew that I could sing. She fostered that. But for me to do it professionally, she wasn't for that, if that makes any sense. She's like, yeah, you can sing in the church and all. I mean, she was the one that made me sing in the choir, but then to do it, to become TeeKlef, to do it as a professional, that wasn't the route, because, to her, there's no stability in it. Again, it's all perspective, me getting older and viewing things. And now that I even have a kid of my own, I can understand a lot of things better, because, of course, they say hindsight is 20/20. So, with growing up in the church and doing all of that, I mean, it was more, it was more about my parents than it was about me, and then it wasn't until I had to drop out. That's when I figured things out for myself, so.
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed, because I listened to, your music, especially, when Mason, told me about you. And I listened to the podcast with Moreros and I listened to your music. And the most interesting thing is, I would listen to it and I would definitely like it. But when I saw the music videos, because I'm a music guy, when I saw this side, I was like, this is dope because of all the ocean and the
scenery.
The scenery. I mean, and you're like that in a lot of your videos. It's really creative. And it's on a different level. Where do you think that comes from?
Man, it's that whole doing things at that level. I mean, I don't know if you can see behind me, it's 4 different. So those are empty right now because I'm still looking for the right kinds of painting that match all 4. So those are gonna be 4 of my top idol, my top the people that inspire me right now. It's like Steve Jobs. I mean, you know, Steve Jobs did it to the max.
Yeah.
You know, it's Kobe Bryant, you know, to the max. You know, it's Barack Obama. I mean, you know, that inspired hope. And then it's Kanye West. I mean, regardless of everything that's going on in his life right now, you know, it's like, I mean, though every one of them, they did it, you know, to the best of their abilities. And for me, I'm not going to go halfway, right? Again, I don't have Chris Brown's budget for his video. I don't have Drake's budget, you know, but with the budget that I have and the creativity, we're going to take it, you know, to the levels that we could take it to. And so for me, it's, you know, I wrote a song called Last Night in Paris, and I was like, man, it'd be dope if we shot this video in Paris, you know? And, you know, with this side and X and O's and like, you know, even other visuals, you know, it's like, I've always tried to do the best that I, you know, that I could. I've always tried to do it justice to where, you know, when you look at it, when you watch it, you know, that this guy is serious about his craft, you know, so.
Yeah, and you know what's so crazy is, interestingly enough, you know, I saw that in Murillo's podcast that you did. You know, Kobe Bryant, that was actually a person I actually, you know, met a couple of different times. He had the same
wow, that's
agent
dope.
as my brother, and I actually got, you know, got to meet his daughters.
Nice.
And you know, just knowing him, and you know, I could definitely see how you guys are definitely relatable, because he's, you know, he's really artistic too.
Yeah.
You know, just in his mindset, and he, you know, he used to work, you know, extremely hard. He had the same agent as my brother, so. You know, when saying that, how big has Kobe, you know, played a huge thing in your life? Like, when did you fall in love with what he does and fall in love with his work?
He actually made me fall in love with basketball. Like, I didn't care about basketball. I mean, I knew who Michael Jordan was, and like at some level, like I understood what he meant to the game, right? But like it was Kobe that made me watch basketball. Like it was Kobe that, like, I'm a Laker fan because of Kobe.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like that's how it was. It's not Magic. It's not Hakeem. Like none. No, it's Kobe.
Yeah.
And then I got into like, you know, understanding the team and understanding the pieces of putting the team together and how it works. And then started reading up on Phil Jackson. And then from there, you know, like the whole Zen philosophy, which, you know, Steve Jobs also practiced too. Like, you know, so it's all these different pieces start connecting. But I think the biggest thing was just, you know, how easy he made it look.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he made it look effortless, and I'm like, man, like to gain this amount of mastery, you know, it takes a lot of hard work. And so I started digging in deep, and you know, like to hear the stories, you know, about Kobe, and I'm like, man, like I have to, you know, like I'm not here because, you know, I have the best voice or I mean, Kobe wasn't the most athletic, like he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't like the biggest built, you know, but he worked his butt off, and that's the same Messi, like Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, like conversation, you know, Ronaldo, like he works his butt off. And for me, it's like, you know, I am in this position because I am willing to stay up for 5 nights, 7 nights and get this project done. Right. But you're not, you know, so I will always outwork you, you know, so.
And, you know, that's one thing that, you know, I definitely can attribute that to, even though, you know, I don't personally know you, you know, just talking with you. I think one thing that you know, really thrive for is that it doesn't matter the outcome. It's about how much work you feel like you put in yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, that's definitely very Kobe-esque, because there's a lot of people that, you know, they just want results. And for you, I feel like you don't really necessarily care that much about results.
Yeah.
You're more about the work you put in. You know, can you just elaborate more on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough, right? It's pretty tough because, you know, as a student of the game, like the people that I care about, I really care about, you know, I could actually move you. You could see like a ton of books over there, like, you know, like those don't even compare to like the amount of books that I have like digitally on my iPad, you know. So I study everything. Like I really go deep down into people's stories, why they do what they do, when they did what, you know, the pivotal moments that kind of shape their careers, and, you know, understanding that we're all the same. And, you know, back to the tough comment, it's, you know, with music, it's all about numbers and streams and all this stuff. And, you know, so we're not, that's the result part that's tough, because, you know, to get to other levels, like, you know, some other things have to line up, right? you know, it's like, well, you know, quote unquote, before you could get a deal, you have to do all these things, you know, because now, I mean, it's attention, right? It's not more about talent, it's more about attention, you know. And so I'm not going to dye my hair, you know, 15 different colors, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not going to, it's all these different things that could be done. There's all these different gimmicks, but, you know, for me, I am about the work. And so that's the part that keeps me sane at night. It's like, you know, regardless of how this thing pans out, like I did the best I could with what I could when I could, you know, and I could sleep at night. You know, Kobe's goal was to win as many championships as possible. In inside story was he wanted to win more championships than Jordan. If you'd have asked him, he would have secretly he wanted 7, you know, and he was just going to retire, you know. So like the goal was to win as many championships as possible, you know. But for me, you know, it didn't pan out that way for him. And, you know, man plans, God laughs, you know. So all we can hold on to, right, is the fact that, you know, we did the best we could when we could with however much we had. So yeah.
So talk about, you know, pretty much how racism has affected your life. Obviously, you know, from being from a different country, racism is always out there, but it's in different forms. You know, what are some things that you've seen? And you made a music video on it, so I'll just let you elaborate more on it.
Yeah. So I actually didn't experience racism until I got to the States. Real talk, which was what, 11 plus years ago, right? I mean, because I'm from Nigeria, and you know, the majority of the population, like we're black, you know. So now we have foreigners, like, you know, we have, you know, mixed, you know, some people, you know, they had kids with, you know, with women in Europe, and like they're based in Nigeria. Like every now and then you find, you know, you find these. You find some mixed people, you find, you know, Caucasian people doing business in Africa, Asians, you know, but the majority, like we're black. So it was more classism. It's more, well, we live in the suburbs and you guys live in the ghetto, you know, we drive a Mercedes, and you see what I mean? Like that was what it was. Oh yeah, I'm rocking FUBU or like School of Hard Knocks. I don't know if you remember that, you know, but that was, oh, okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, I mean that was just what it was. You should probably remember Rockaway.
I know a little bit of FUBU and Rockaway. That's about
there it. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was what it was. You know, so it's like, well, I have this, you don't have this, which I mean, at some level, it still plays in culture right now. You know, but it wasn't like racism. Like it was more, you know, classism, and then a little bit of like tribalism, if that makes any sense. So it's people from the east, from the north, from the west. It's like, okay, well, my culture, we do these things this way, and your things like that, you know. But when I came here, it was like, oh, why is this woman clutching her purse so hard in the elevator, you know? And the worst thing about it is, you know, a lot of the moments that I felt it, it's like, you know, I could literally buy you like 10 of these purses for you if I wanted to. You know, so like, and that's just how I felt. I'm like, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I've always been outspoken about how I felt about, you know, racism, and, you know, again, because I had to do my history, right? They didn't teach us, you know, the African-American history in Nigeria. Like I had to come here and do my research on that, you know. And so with regards to that, you know, when it hit Floyd, right, and watching that video, like I really felt like that was my brother. I felt like that was my friend, you know, and that's why I use the words that I use. Like, you know, I can't believe they killed my, you know, Floyd. Like, I mean, this is my guy, you know, this is our guy, you know, and even in the way that he got killed, you know, and so I was like, you know what, we're just gonna come out as an artist, as a label, you know, as a production company, as a unit, as a collective, you know, come out and just really make the statement and say, hey, like, this is where we stand, you know, like, this wasn't cool. And, you know, these are the steps that we're taking in order to foster the conversation, you know. And so I had some people from, you know, like a few Africans hit me up, was like, yo, like, you know, like this is not your fight. I'm like, nah, this is our fight.
Yeah.
Like they don't look at you and see African and African American. No. They see black, you know, and that's that. And so, you know, that's just where it's been, bro. So
do you think you've experienced more racism in Indiana versus other places?
Yeah, man. I mean, Europe is different. Again, it's everywhere, right? Yeah. But like, you know, when I was touring Europe, bro, like it's just a different feeling. And, you know, you have to for me, I actually had what's it called? I actually had like I'm from Nigeria, so like I have some international experience. Like I've traveled a little bit, you know, even prior to me doing my world tours and all that good stuff. So like when I was in Europe and, you know, understanding how things work, like I was able to look at America and be like, man, in as much as I'm a dual citizen, like, you know, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, I'm also a citizen of the States. Like I'm like, bro, like there's something wrong with America. Like
Yeah.
there is something wrong. Hence the titling, like a prayer for America, you know. But I mean, that's just what that is. Like sometimes you have to go out to be able to gain a different vantage point and be like, man, like this is what's wrong, or this is how we can help, and this is how we could change things, you know. So
For sure. So, you know, how do you relate to sports? Obviously, you know, we talked a little bit about Kobe, but how do you relate to sports in this day and age?
I played soccer, man. You know, I
Really?
played, yeah, high school, college. I played in some semi-pro leagues here in the city. But I just never like took it, right? I never took, you know, when I wanted to be a soccer player. I don't even know what I'm saying, soccer player, football. That's what we call the worldwide. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, when I was really trying to play like, you know, football, like it's I was talking to my mom. I was 16 at the time. I just graduated high school. You know, it's like, hey, let me go to Europe and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, I mean, she didn't want it. You know, she wanted me to be a doctor. And, you know, I don't know how different my life would have been if I'd done that. But, you know, I can't dwell on that, you know. So yeah, I'm very active. I actually played a couple of days ago. We lost the semifinal. So yeah, that still hurts, you know. But anyways, yeah.
So you talk a lot about, you know, how well versed you travel. What are some, you know, your favorite places that you traveled to and been to?
Yeah, so I try to divide that
Yeah.
into like scenery, right? Like views, right? And
Yeah.
then culturally. So like culturally, it's like Amsterdam. I felt like that was the biggest melting point. Amsterdam, Sweden, you know, like Stockholm, like those were like the two places I felt the most at home. Now again, I haven't traveled as much as I think I should, you know. But then when it comes to scenery, Iceland, hands down.
Iceland.
Hands down. Like,
Really, a lot of people wouldn't say that. You done been, you know, into places in Africa, Europe,
yeah.
United States. What's so
I
special
mean,
about Iceland?
it's just like, bro, it's when I was seeing these places, right? And we're recording, like we're shooting this side, right? And I was like, man, first off, like the sun didn't go down. Like we shot like through the night, right? You know, so that actually like that was like, okay, like you read about these things, now you're experiencing them in real life. You know, that's one. Secondly, it's like you would have thought I was in front of a green screen, bro.
Really?
Like the fact that like when I was watching this footage and I was like, man, it's some people that really think I'm in front of a green screen right now. You know? So like just that, and you know, I mean, there are magnificent views and that. Like I haven't traveled Africa as much as I've traveled Europe. You know, I've only been to a couple countries in Africa. You know, but I mean, it's for the ones that I've been in, like, you know, it's so far so good. You know, again, my journey is still is still being written. You know, my story is still being written. But you know, eventually, I think here within the next 5 to 10 years, I'd have a better vantage point as to which ones are the best cities. But right now, at the point of this question, Amsterdam and Iceland.
So, you know, obviously, you know, you're I would say you are extremely talented when it comes to music videos. What's your process going through it? You know, what's your mindset and goal when going through those music videos?
Thanks for the kind words, bro. So with regards to how we shoot the videos, it depends on who I'm shooting with. So the guy that shot this side, you know, he was based in Iceland, right? You know, and for me, it's like, well, I don't really know the side. I mean, I could put it on Google Maps and all that, but like, I really had to link up with a native, like someone that knew the country well. You know, so we're traveling across cities. Like it's funny because we'll shoot the scene here and we'll drive 2.5 hours to go shoot the next scene. It was crazy. It was a really crazy shoot, you know. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I have sort of like an idea, right? And I like things being seamless. I want the director or whoever, I can't shoot myself, right? Whoever is shooting the video to kind of like the song, So it all starts with the song, and then, you know, I try to jot down like a mini storyboard, and then I give it to the director and he fleshes it out, you know. And more importantly, like I actually had to learn a lot of the terminology to be able to talk with them, to be able to talk that talk with them. It's like, you know, like learn the shots, you know, like the lenses, like all, like I could say, hey, let's use that 85 mil and, you know, like use a rule of thirds and get a medium close-up shot, you know, of this. You see what I mean? Or let's put this in the foreground and this should be out of focus. And like I could actually talk to them about the shot that I want and they could see it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so like it took a lot of learning on my part, but you know, like the biggest credits are to the directors and like, you know, the editors. Like, you know, yes, I give my input, let's do this, let's try this, how about we try this, move this scene over here, but they still have to do the job. So I think my thing is delegating, right? You know, figuring out the right people for the job and delegating it and trusting them to, you know, to be on beast mode with it. And then, you know, everything else is everything else.
So, you know, last question. What is overall, you know, you've had a crazy experience. If you listen to this interview, you'll understand.
Yeah.
What is, you know, your best, or I would say, what is your favorite moment in terms of, you know, going through the process? Obviously, you've done a world tour already. You know, what is that process? Two. You know, what is that process like? You know, what was your favorite experience of it? Was there like one moment that really stuck out?
I would say when I did the show in Iceland, right? Well, I mean, you know, we did Norway, you know, that was a little preamble, you know, and then we did Sweden. This was the first tour. We did Sweden, and you know, I'd actually give you a few moments, right? We did Sweden, and then it's like people were singing like the hook verbatim. It's like I was like, oh shit, like this is lit. Like people in a different country, they don't even know me, but like, you know, they're rocking with it. Iceland, the club was packed. Like it was close to 500 people, and like they were banging the walls, like, you know, like singing this stuff, pulling me off stage. And you know, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, man, like these things happen to Michael Jackson. Like, you know, like you see what I mean? Like these, you know, so that was a surprising part. And then after the show was like a whole line of people waiting to see me and like do a meet and greet, you know. So now I'm used to that here in Indy, you know, but in a different country where like you don't know anybody, like, you know, it's different, you know. And I would say the other one, after doing the first run, I actually went back for the second one and I headlined a festival in Sweden. And so the organizers, his son, right, was singing It's Kilowine, right? I did it with the DJs in Sweden. They're called Mashup International. Shout out to them. So he kept singing the song, and he didn't believe that I was TeeKlef, right? So it was like, yeah, this guy TeeKlef, he sang this song, and that's my favorite song right now. So the whole day I hung out with him. The whole day he didn't know, right? And so he was actually going to be at the show, right? So I end up closing the show, right? You know, I do all the songs, and then I end with Kilowine, right? Yeah. And you should have seen the look on his face. You know, the look on his face and him singing this stuff with joy. And like, I mean, this is a 13-year-old, like 12, 13-year-old, like him singing it with joy and screaming the words. And like, you could look at him and like this means something to this guy right now. Yeah. And experiencing those moments, it's like, okay, well, this is why I'm here, because, you know, people would always remember how you made them feel. And I feel like that's why I play the position that I play, you know, right now. So,
and that's so dope, man. Well, thank you for your time, man.
Thanks a lot,
podcast.
My pleasure,
obviously, bro. You know, we've got a lot of sports fans here, but you know, hopefully we can get a lot of music fans. You know,
absolutely.
Make sure you guys go follow him on his Instagram and his Twitter. It's TeeKlef _, right? Or is it just
just TeeKlef? TeeKlef.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Make sure everyone goes check out his music. Personally, go check out his YouTube. YouTube, you know, his videos are absolutely amazing. I would suggest to do that, and as well follow his Instagram too as well.
Thanks, bro.
All right, thank you.
All right, bro.